Hi everybody, it's Miss Brenner. I'm here to talk to you today about your directions for a Midsummer Night's Dream relationship slides. For this activity, we're going to be looking at both healthy and unhealthy relationships compared between the pieces of literature that we've been covering recently, which is A Midsummer Night's Dream and A Season of Glass and Iron. And we're going to compare that to forms of modern media. Now, when I say forms of modern media, I'm indicating that we can use TV shows, cartoons, comics, live action media such as pop culture and things of that nature to compare the relationships that we are seeing unfold in our literary pieces to see why it is that maybe we try to relate to both characters that have healthy and unhealthy relationships. So for this assignment, students will be comparing pairs of characters to other prominent pairings in modern media. On the following slides, there are examples of the expectations for the assignment and the character pairings to choose from for both A Midsummer Night's Dream and Seasons of Glass and Iron. Students will select 5 character pairings to compare with a modern media example that share experiences in a similar relationship. Within the 5 sets of relationships chosen, at least one must be a healthy relationship and at least one must be an unhealthy relationship. So you could have 2 healthy and 3 unhealthy comparisons. It is up to you, but you must at least have 1 healthy and at least 1 unhealthy. So let's talk a little bit about examples. What I'm looking for is that you can take character pairings and determine whether you feel that they are in a healthy relationship or if they are in an unhealthy relationship, and start to analyze why an author might set a relationship in motion in this way, and if we really should maybe idolize these characters. A lot of times we try to make a connection to TV show characters, comic book characters, cartoon characters, and try and see ourselves in them. And so when we create unhealthy pairings, we are sending a message to the reader and to the audience that this is okay. So we want to start to reflect on our characters and if they're making really good life choices. So for an example of a healthy relationship, I took Jim and Pam from the TV show The Office and compared them with Tabitha and Amira from Seasons of Glass and Iron. So what I'm looking for is that you can identify whether you consider our literary piece characters in a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship, and then compare them to another media outlet. So I picked Jim and Pam, so I have a picture of them. They're from the TV show The Office. It's a comedy TV show that's been airing for quite some time now, and they are 2 co-workers that have gone through different relationships and have always had an emotional connection, and then further on in the series are able to kindle that relationship and grow closer together and actually have a physical and emotional relationship together. So much like Tabitha and Amira, this couple from the TV show The Office both felt lost or unsatisfied with their lives prior to their relationship. Although the struggles these couples faced in the past relationships may be different from the characters in Season of Glass and Iron, their responses to finding a brighter future relies on creating a bond forged in friendship and emotional compatibility. So just like Tabitha and Amira, who both came from problems in their past relationships, both like romantic relationships and just parental relationships, they had their own issues which caused them to make life choices that hindered their ability to be happy. It happened that way for Jim and Pam. They both had separate relationships or other things going on in their lives. They were faithful and kind to those people, but they just weren't happy, and so eventually they had to make choices for themselves of what would make them truly happy. And even when Jim and Pam weren't together in their own set relationship, they were always supportive of each other. So that is definitely a relationship that is built on friendship and built on this emotional compatibility more than physical connection. We see that with Tabitha and Amira as well. So I couldn't find a picture that made me happy for Tabitha and Amira, so I just want to talk a little bit about them instead. Much like Jim and Pam, this couple from the short story Seasons of Glass and Iron faced, several obstacles in their lives that have prevented them from being happy. and both of these couples show loving characteristics of putting others first and defending the emotional integrity of those they care about. Often people say that the best relationships are those based on friendship, and I find both couples embody this method of compatibility similarly. So, this is just my example of a healthy relationship. You may feel differently as far as what makes a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship, and that's why we're talking about it in this activity. So you can pull from all different platforms of media to compare relationships in our literary pieces to other media outlets, such as maybe you like Steven Universe and you feel that Tabitha and Amira are comparable to like Ruby and Sapphire. That is an option. Maybe you are an anime fan and you've seen Fairy Tail and you feel that we have several unhealthy relationships, maybe borderline abusive in Midsummer Night's Dream, and you would want to compare that to Gray and Juvia, who have an unhealthy relationship because Juvia is always trying to get Gray's affection, and he just doesn't want anything to do with her. So you might want to compare it to that. If you are into pop culture, maybe you want to think about Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. They certainly have an interesting relationship. Maybe you want to compare them to one of the relationships that we are currently reading about. Whether you feel it is healthy or unhealthy, I'm not trying to pass judgment, but maybe they're an example you want to use. Maybe you're a fan of NCIS or of CSI Miami. In NCIS, I think that Gibbs and Abby have a beautiful relationship. It's not one that is like an intimate relationship. It is more of a friendship relationship, and maybe even more of like a parental relationship, like a guardian. And I think that is beautiful. Maybe you want to compare that to one of the sets of characters that we are currently reading about. But those are just some examples. Oh, also, if you like Rick and Morty, maybe you want to compare Jerry and Beth's relationship, Morty's mom and dad. They have an interesting relationship. I don't know if you feel it's healthy or unhealthy, but you could definitely compare that with some of our different sets of characters that we're currently reading about. So that is our assignment that we are working on. Our different character relationships from our literary pieces are like Aegeus and Hermia, Helena and Hermia, Demetrius and Helena, Lysander and Hermia, Theseus and Hippolyta. Oh, I forgot to include Oberon and Titania. I'm sorry. So, Oberon and Titania, Tabitha and Amira, Amira and her father, and then Tabitha and her husband. So, if there are any relationships that I didn't list that you would like to also include, that is perfectly fine because the list is very long. I was trying to hit all the major ones, and we have a lot of characters. So, if there are any on this list that you want to talk about that I did not list, please feel free to send me an email and say, hey, I want to also talk about maybe Puck and Oberon. You want to talk about their friendship, that is perfectly fine. You can do that. Just send me an email and let me know that there is an addition that you'd like to make. So these slides are set up in two sections. There is a healthy relationships section with an already pre-created slide, so that way you can duplicate it and put in whatever healthy relationships you want to put in. Remember, you at least need to have one healthy relationship and at least one unhealthy relationship. So we have that section with a slide that you can duplicate. And so we are looking to put in a paragraph section about comparing the two sets of characters from both perspectives, giving a little bit of background about the characters that you are pulling from modern media, and then giving a comparison in a little bit of a description of how you think they are related to a set of characters from our literary pieces. And we should have a total of 5 comparisons. I ask that you do not use the same comparisons twice, so do not maybe use Jim and Pam 3 or 4 times in a comparison to other relationships in our literary stories. I don't think that really reflects the purpose of this assignment, so please do not do that. Alrighty, so that is all of our directions for this assignment. Please send me an email if you need any more guidance, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.